And it is that time of year, the 74th annual Festival of Lights in the Winterhaven community, something that attracts people from all over southern Arizona. And we're pleased to be joined by a man that's lived in that community for 21 years. Jim Tofel grew up here in the city of Tucson. Jim, how did you decide to move to Winterhaven? And was the attraction of maybe this event, was that part of the reason you decided to move into this community?
Yeah, I thought it'd be a great place for the kids to grow up. We moved back to Tucson, so I moved away from Tucson after college. Met my wife in L.A. And we had our second daughter, and we decided we wanted to raise family around family. So when moving back to Tucson, I kind of brought her here kicking and screaming. She wasn't crazy about the desert. So, the attraction for Winterhaven was a couple things. The grass and the trees, it didn't feel like the desert. I wanted to live in the city, and I just thought it would be a great place for the kids to grow up. Winterhaven has a tremendous sense of community. A lot of the neighbors, there's a lot of young families there. There's also a lot of people like me who've lived there for 20 plus years. And we're all friends. We do a lot of activities together. There's a lot of collaboration, obviously, that goes into the Festival of Lights. So I just thought it would be a good place for the kids to grow up, and it's been fun. We've embraced it.
So obviously this whole event goes back to 1949. C.B. Richards kind of started this. What did you know about the history of it growing up here in Arizona, in Tucson?
Well, so my dad actually lived in Winterhaven when he was a child.
Oh.
So my grandfather bought a house in Winterhaven in 1951. Back then, the neighborhood wasn't even fully built out. So he actually lived in the Elvis house. Everybody refers to the houses in the neighborhood by their Christmas decorations. So he grew up in the Elvis house, and he used to talk about when we would go through as kids about how he did a live nativity scene every year. So him and all the other neighborhood kids would get together, and they would sit out in the freezing cold for 5 hours a night and do a live nativity scene. So it was something that, we definitely knew it was going to be a thing. Back then in the 50s, the trees were all small, so it wasn't difficult to decorate them. Like these days, we need these giant lifts and everything, and it's a huge undertaking just decorating. Back then, it was a much easier thing. But it's just it's amazing how the festival has grown in popularity over the years, and just how the neighborhood keeps trying to outdo itself each year. So.
Jim Tofel from Winterhaven's lived there for 21 years, is our guest here. So was it hard to find a house to live in there when you decided to move back with your family?
Well, we moved back in 2002, and there were 3 houses for sale, and none of them fit us really well. So, we bought and then we fixed it up. And I think that's what's happened is a lot of the houses, like my original house there was 1,300 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, small rooms, no closet space. But they were on large lots because when the neighborhood was formed, we were not on city sewer. So all of the houses had septic in the back. And so they were large lots. And so almost every house in the neighborhood has gone through renovations, a lot of them 2 or 3 or more. And so that's what we did is we knew where we wanted to live, and then we made the house what we wanted. So.
Now, obviously, you mentioned the septic side of this. A lot of people don't really understand the fact that you guys have your own water system.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that, because I was reading about that, and I thought that's very fascinating that this one part of town, has its own water supply. How does that all work?
So in the 50s, late 40s, early 50s, Winterhaven was on the outskirts of town. We didn't have, water and sewer.
It's the suburbs, huh?
Yeah, so it was out there, and so they had to set up their own services. And actually, an interesting fact is Winterhaven is not technically a homeowners association for the city of Tucson. Winterhaven Water and Development Company is a water company. We're a small water company, which is basically means we can't pump more than 250 acre feet a year. That's what defines us as a small water company. And that's one of the things actually that allows us to have the grass, is that we, if everybody had to pay the city of Tucson water fees, there would not be much grass out there. Grass does use water, but it's the only neighborhood of its kind, and it's special. So we don't want to lose that.
Absolutely. So then,
but we do recognize. I will tell you this: that we do recognize that water is one of our most important resources in Tucson, and it's a scarce resource. The neighborhood has gone through a lot of changes over the last, I would say, 15 years to limit our use, and we've actually seen our water use drop about 30 to 40% since I moved in the neighborhood. So, it is a constant discussion topic by the board, and it's something that we are very sensitive to.
Jim Tofel joining us, 21-year resident of Winterhaven. It is the 74th Annual Festival of Lights underway here in Tucson. So you move in, what time of year did you move in?
I moved in October. So our first year, we didn't.
So you had about 60 days to figure out what you wanted to do for Christmas.
Yeah, actually, the thing that caught me by surprise was Halloween.
Halloween, exactly.
I mean, we went through like $400 worth of candy the first year. It was ridiculous. So Halloween is pretty crazy in the neighborhood, but it's a lot. One of the things that's neat about Winterhaven is the custom decorations, and there's a lot of people who will buy the blow ups or the things you buy at Home Depot and whatnot, but then there's a lot of people who custom make their own decorations. So they weld the steel, or they paint, they take plywood and they paint it and cut it out. And I think that's one of the really unique things about the neighborhood is just the amount of custom decorations that you won't see anyplace else. So, I have 3 small daughters. I had 3 small daughters. They're grown at this point, but we asked them, what do you guys want for decorations? And they said, we want Disney princesses. And so we made life-size Disney princesses. We took a coloring book page and we projected it against a piece of masonite and traced it out, cut it out, and then painted it and went over it with a Sharpie. And so they're, 6.5 foot tall, stand-up Disney princesses that are dressed up for Christmas.
So yours is the princess house.
Yes, it's a princess house.
And so it's always been that. Have you evolved it all? Did you change it ever, or does everybody kind of stay the same annually, or how does that work?
Different people do different things. So some neighbors mix it up every year and they do different things, and I think that's awesome when they do that. And obviously, when new people come in the neighborhood, they'll bring fresh ideas. Some of the custom stuff, though, people try to pass it from one house to the next. So I actually moved within the neighborhood to a new house, and part of the deal with the person that I bought the house from was they had to leave me all of their Christmas decorations because it was a bigger yard and there was more stuff to decorate. So stuff does get passed from person to person. Like we had the mini Bellagio house with the light show and the water and all that, and that's gone through 3 different homeowners. The Cars house has gone from one homeowner to another. So a lot of this stuff is consistent from year to year, but there's always new ideas and things that come out as well.
How many years have you won the contests, or have you ever won any of those contests that they have there?
I've never won, which is crazy when I think about the amount of work that we go through each year. But we have like little competitions internally. So there's like 20 different awards that go to the different residents. So there's the best door, the best mailbox, the best roof, TEP's favorite. That's the one with the most lights. And so I've won a few of those awards, like the smaller ones, and but I've never won the big one. So the CB Richards Award is the one that all of the residents vote on for the best house in the neighborhood. And usually, the person that wins that, they're spending weeks and weeks out there working on their place. I mean, some of these houses take an unbelievable amount of time and money to put together.
Yeah, you talk about, obviously, your dad grew up in the community. Did you ever think about recreating the nativity scene that they had at their house?
That's actually
when he was growing up?
Something I would love to do. I just haven't had time. So someday, that's on my list. I think maybe in 10 years when I retire and I can build build a full nativity and then start recruiting the kids. We'll do that.
Okay, this is a popular house on the block. The Wildcats house. Whose house is that?
I actually don't know those homeowners. That's on Kleindale. And every year, actually, the U of A basketball team does come and tour through the neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
And they always get out and they take pictures in front of that house. So I don't know the homeowners that live there, though.
Jim Tofel joining us. He is a 21-year resident of Winterhaven. The Festival of Lights is underway. I've been a number of times. I've walked it. I've done the party bike tour through it. I've taken the trolley through it. But to me, it's always fascinating. Like, what do the homeowners do during that week? Are you coming out every night to engage with the public, or is it weird? Like, if people can like walk by and they're like looking at you in your house while you're just kind of eating dinner or something. Like, what do you guys do for that 2-week period of time?
So first of all, it's really important to get home by 5:30 every night.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because trying to fight through the traffic, the streets are all closed, and residents can get in, but we got to get in early. I will say, for us, it's like a 2-week-long party. We have friends that come and visit with us every night, so we always have hot chocolate at our house. Probably half of the nights we'll put a fire pit out and just sit out and watch people, and we walk around every night. And, it's so much work doing the setup, but those 2 weeks, when you see everybody come through and everybody's happy, and it's just a really fun event, and it's like it makes it all worthwhile. All of the effort and all the work, and you just see the impact that it has on the people coming through. I love it. I think it's a great 2 weeks. But it is definitely an invasion of everybody's privacy. There's no question. And it's funny because people forget that, they think of it like Disneyland or something like that, and they forget it's people's houses and people live there. And so, sometimes people will just start wandering around. I've had people just come in my backyard.
Wow.
So, there are some challenging things like that occur from time to time.
So what do you want what do you want, like, as a resident, as somebody that's involved with this, what's your message to people coming over the course of the next week and a half to be a part of this? So
I think it's a really fun, healthy event. You get out, you walk, you get fresh air, you get exercise. It's something that can help relieve stress, and it just helps put everybody in the holiday spirit. It is a fundraiser for the community food bank. And so it's a free event. Anybody can come. It can be a challenge to find parking, but I would encourage, everybody who comes to either bring canned food or donations for the food bank. This is the second largest fundraiser for the Pima County Food Bank each year, or the Southern Arizona Food Bank. And it is a key event so they have volunteers at all of the entrances. I think the other just point of recognition I would like to make is to Tucson Electric Power, TEP, and Cox, but both of those companies really help step up and make the festival possible. As I mentioned before, the trees in our neighborhood, some of them are 40, 50, 60 feet tall, and there's lights going all the way up. And so I think Cox brought out 14 trucks this year. TEP brought out about the same. And, they all pay for their people to come out and hang the lights and then help us take them down. And it is a major undertaking for both of those companies. And it really does make all the difference in the world in terms of that festival being able to continue and be a free event for everyone in the city.
Beautiful trees. I mean, some of the most beautiful trees that you're going to find in southern Arizona. And it's, again, an incredible event. It's going on through December the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken.
25th.
I'll say, so it'll be, so you can actually go on Christmas Day?
You can.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. Okay. That's, I believe something a little bit new. 74th annual Winterhaven Festival of Lights. It's one of the longest running festivals of any kind in this country. And Jim Tofel and his family have lived there for 21 years. Do the daughters still come back for this week?
Oh, yes. Everybody loves it. My oldest daughter lives in L.A. She's going to fly home. Youngest daughter still lives with us, but yeah, they love it. They invite their friends, and it's a really fun family time.
Outstanding. Jim, hey, we appreciate you coming by and kind of giving us a little bit of an insider's look at what it's like to be a resident in Winterhaven during this time of the year.
You bet. Thanks for having me.